Hello, everybody. Dave Neal here, stand-up comic and host of the Dave Neal Show. The United Nations quietly drops Amber. Is the ACLU next? We're going to dive right into this topic. Follow me on Instagram at DNeals for behind-the-scenes content, stand-up comedy clips, things like that. And also bonus Patreon episodes, patreon.com/Dave Neal, if you want to hang out with us and donate to the old cause. All right. There was a petition on change.org. There's so many petitions. There's cancel this, promote that, remove this, insert this back in, apologies. Remove Amber as a UN human rights champion. She was a human rights champion for the United Nations, along with being an ambassador for the ACLU. There was thousands of signatures to have her removed following the decision by the court in Virginia. This is what she was, a part of before she was sort of exposed. Hit the play button here. All right, here we go.
Let's start with the truth. The cold, hard truth. When a woman comes forward to speak about injustice or her suffering, instead of aid, respect, and support, she'll be met with hostility, skepticism, and shame. Her motives will be questioned.
What's tough is everything she's saying is true. You know, we live in a world where people's stories aren't believed. What we need to remember with her story is that she was believed, and then it went to a court of our peers and the judge, and all the evidence, was equally distributed, and they rejected her story.
Her truth ignored. No matter how terrible or terrifying surviving trauma may be, unfortunately, it can pale in comparison to what follows after.
Okay, so this was obviously from 3.5 years ago, and now all the comments on this video are like, truth and Amber can't be mixed together. Kind of makes the UN human rights a global joke. Men don't matter as long as the message gets sent, huh? Now, of course, they have now silently, or quietly, I should say, gotten rid of her. Saw this post on the Justice for Johnny Depp Reddit. The UN Human Rights Commission finally removed Amber's page from their website after determining she was no longer fit to be a champion for domestic abuse victims. Shortly after the United Nations Human Rights High Commission parted ways with Amber, the UN made it clear they stood with victims of DV regardless of the victim's gender identity. Now, this graphic that we have right here, I've yet to confirm how legit this is because there aren't any news stories out yet as of my recording of this. But when we search Amber Heard and the website, the UN Human Rights Office, and the mechanisms we support, we click on the page, and as you see right here, it goes back to nothing. The page no longer exists. So it looks like Amber's out. That was their quiet way of booting her. No public statements as far as I know from them yet. Next, we've got Amber Heard's ACLU. If we scroll up here, we've got the ACLU Artist Ambassador Project, which has artists of different shapes, sizes, and all of that. And Amber's still on the list. If we scroll down to, this is as of right now. This is a live look at Amber on the list. She serves as an ACLU ambassador for women's rights with a focus on gender-based violence. She's an actor, activist, and philanthropist who is committed to both art and social justice. Over a 15-year career, she's appeared in 15 films. It goes back and forth. Heard uses her public platform to advocate for human rights. In 2003, Heard started working with the Art of Elysium, which introduced her to the Children's Hospital LA, a longtime supporter of women's rights and a prominent voice in the LGBTQ community since 2006. And in addition to her work with the ACLU, Heard is actively involved with organizations like the Human Rights Campaign. Now that we know that that's not true. Since 2011, she has been a partner with Amnesty International. So all these other things she's got going on. Hey, it's good to help, but obviously not if you're being a hypocrite. Right? Now, as far as the Art of Elysium goes, that was the company that Amber's sister Whitney was working for. That lady, Whitney's boss, has had a deposition stating that Whitney lied for her sister and pleaded for Whitney to not lie on the stand and doesn't have to cover up her sister's lies. So even though it says here that they are supportive of the Art of Elysium, the owner of the Art of Elysium is like, no, I'll do a sworn deposition, a sworn declaration. I'll speak my truth. She's sharing how much she's against the lies that are being spread by the Heard sisters. So there it is. There she is. And of course, here's an ironic update. Johnny versus the ACLU. The ACLU has filed to be reimbursed for their time and cost of document prep to the tune of $86,000. There are rules that provide for these. See below. There's a hearing set that has been reset to June 15th, 2022. I don't know if we missed this hearing or if it was delayed again. Johnny versus ACLU, and he has filed an opposition to their request for $86,000. The Depp team claims ACLU is not entitled to attorney fees. Respondents should be limited to recovering the $1,000 in costs associated with the document production only. So they're fighting it. They're saying, now, why would Johnny want to pay the ACLU when they coordinated with Amber to write a hit piece against him? Here's what they said. The staff attorney for the ACLU sent a letter to the attorneys in the case. ACLU of Virginia, and University of Virginia First Amendment Clinic intend to file an amicus brief in Depp v. Heard in support of defendant's motion for leave to file amended. So Depp's attorneys responded they were not comfortable with the connection between Amber and the organization. Here's what they had to say. Johnny's lawyers, Adam Waldman, tells The Blast, the ACLU co-conspirators with Ms. Heard in her defamation against Mr. Depp also today sought permission to file a Friends of the Court brief. Since the ACLU will be a fact witness and possibly a defendant in their actual role as Friends of the Hoax, we have denied their request. Ms. Heard may have failed yet again in court, but she is succeeding at sucking a number of social movements that have hit rock bottom but are determined to keep digging into her scam. Now, there's a lot of legalese here, but this is a big FU from Johnny's lawyers to say, look, she's stuck with these organizations because obviously the ACLU was promised $3.5 million. She says she's still going to pay. That's big money for them. That's big money. They work on these donations. Respondents assisted Ms. Heard in drafting the op-ed, which is the subject of Mr. Depp's defamation suit, received substantial pledges from Ms. Heard, and as evidenced by the privilege log, respondents were coordinating and assisting Ms. Heard in litigating Mr. Depp's defamation suit. Now, as we know, the only thing that's not true here is that they didn't receive substantial pledges from Ms. Heard. They were supposed to, and they did not receive any money, which we're going to get into in a second. So then this was said, the requested expenses are unreasonable, the money that the ACLU wanted from Johnny Depp, $86,000. Even if this court were to find, which it should not, that respondents are entitled to reimbursement of the attorney's fees associated with the preparation of the document production and privilege log, Mr. Depp should only be required to reimburse reasonable production expenses. The amount of fees requested by respondents is grossly excessive and inappropriate. Astoundingly, the respondents seek reimbursement for roughly 120 hours of work for two associates, billing at $500 and $800 per hour, respectively, for the review of 7,000 documents and production of only 2,000 documents. The rates charged by the senior and junior associate are above market, and Mr. Depp should not be required to pay for respondents' choice of attorneys that charge top of market rates. So ipso de facto, Johnny Depp's people are saying, we ain't paying for that overpriced BS. So we're going to get into it. Let's summarize what actually went down. If you didn't remember the jaw-dropping moment where it was revealed that the ACLU coordinated the op-ed that Amber wrote in the Washington Post days before the release of her movie Aquaman.
Interesting story. The ACLU revealed under testimony that it wrote Amber Heard's domestic violence op-ed and timed its release with the debut of her film Aquaman.
The group also testified that Heard has only paid them half of the money she promised from her divorce settlement with Johnny Depp.
Now. Hold on a second. She was to, and this is maybe this wasn't coming out yet, or they didn't know this because this was early May. She pledged $7 million, or she said she would donate $7 million, 3.5 to Children's Hospital, 3.5 to ACLU. It comes out in the deposition that she didn't pay either. So it's not that she paid half. Half of the $7 million was to go to each side. She paid neither. So, I mean, a little bit was paid, but that was from like Elon Musk and, I think even Johnny Depp paid a little bit himself. So here's just two clips, if you don't remember, to look back on from the ACLU testifying that they not only helped her write the op-ed, and by helped her, wrote the rough draft, but they also coordinated it and did not receive payment.
What does that mean?
It is often a decision has to be made when we're working with ambassadors or with other people who are speaking to the public, who does the first draft of the document. So it sounds here that Jerry is saying that that from Jess's conversation with Amber, we are moving forward with some kind of an op-ed, and that ACLU communications department staff members would be writing the first draft of it.
And then we find out they didn't just write the first draft. They went back and forth on what words they can use and how to say it and this and that. So they were all a part of it and not really doing their due diligence to make sure that she was telling the truth. Maybe they assumed because of the UK trial, or either way, they're kind of on the hook. They're like friends with her because they're owed money. You ever be friends with someone, they owe you $50 and you're like, I guess I'll go to his birthday party and hope that he pays me then. That's exactly where they're at.
Ms. Heard still being an ACLU ambassador, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so as the time of this trial, Amber was still an ACLU ambassador. She still is, as we record
And
this.
Ms. White writes, quote, she donated her full settlement to charity, 50% to the ACLU and 50% to another organization. That's a reference to Ms. Heard's representation that she donated the full amount of her divorce settlement from Johnny Depp to charity, correct?
Correct.
And that statement was not true. She had not donated the full amount of her settlement, $7 million, to the ACLU or the Children's Hospital of Los Angeles, correct?
At the time that Jess White wrote this in July of 2020, Ms. Heard had not donated her full settlement to the ACLU, and I'm not aware of what she did to the other organization.
At the time Ms. White wrote that, the ACLU was still $2.2 million short, even if you credit Ms. Heard with the $100,000 that Johnny Depp gave to the ACLU, correct?
At the time that she wrote this, we had received the 1.3, so yes, 2.2 million of the full 3.5 million we had not received.
Now, so here's the deal. A lot of people that are, still supporting Amber's side say, look, isn't it semantics? She pledged to donate. She was going to donate it. Johnny had a timeline for where he was going to give Amber the money. It's not like he was giving her the $7 million all at once. He had a timeline. But what they have to remember is Johnny's timeline had finished. So he had paid in full the full amount he was to give her 13 months before the op-ed and before the lawsuit. So 13 months where all she had to do was take that money and transfer it. It belonged nowhere else. It was money that was already, earmarked for the kids. Children's Hospital of LA, people that are fighting for their lives. Children, right? And then the ACLU, which is supposed to be for civil liberties. So, of course, here's what the judge said in the UK case. I'm just going to read the very end. What part of the argument was that Amber Heard was a gold digger. And the judge said at the end, I recognize that there were other elements to the divorce settlement as well, but her donation of the $7 million to charity is hardly the act one would expect of a gold digger. And as we know now, she just didn't finish or, complete that promise that she made. So the whole judgment in the UK might have been changed, right? UN drops her. Is ACLU next? Let me know. Leave a comment. We'll talk to you guys later. Bye, everybody.